Yeah! It's Monday. It's episode 4 of Monday Motivation, guys, and I want you to start this week as you mean to go on. Now, last week, I challenged everybody who was watching this to keep a gratitude journal just for 7 days, and I hope you guys did that, even if it wasn't for the whole time, it was just for a few short days. The idea behind that was to highlight all of the positives that you have in your life, to stop people just focusing purely, as we all do if we're not careful, on the things that are lacking in our lives or the negatives. Now, I had some awesome tweets, some fantastic tweets and emails from people who were telling me just what a positive impact practicing gratitude was having in their lives. But equally, I received a couple of emails that were pretty negative about this topic, and I want to address that today. I want to expand on this to try and help those people who might still be struggling with this area of their life. Okay, so this is an email that I received from a viewer who will go unnamed, but I just want to use this as an example to help me with today's topic. I'll read it to you. So it says, I really haven't heard such a load of codswallop for ages. I've been an entertainer for 40 years. Trust me, this is ridiculous. You're £4,000 in the red, you're not getting anywhere or even as much work as you used to get, struggling to pay your rent. Be grateful. And I thought, wow. When I read that email, I was like, this email is absolutely full of blame. Okay, there's no accountability there, it's full of blame. And I really want to dive into this today because I don't think that this outlook, particularly in the acting industry, or you know what, just life in general, is that uncommon. I think there's a lot of people out there who have this outlook as well, and I really want to address it. Now, I want you to recognise, I want you to notice the stories that dominate our lives. As human beings, what are the stories that dominate you and your life, okay? We all have, as human beings, these core stories, but they can really cause us pain when these stories are viewed selfishly, okay? When they are viewed from just one perspective, and they really, really affect our outlook as human beings and the quality of our life experience as a whole. Okay, they can lead to a victim mentality where we feel that we have to blame everyone but ourselves for the situation that we are in. And it's not that you shouldn't be selfish, guys. I'm not saying there's never a time to be selfish. We need to be selfish at times in order to protect ourselves and in order to survive in certain times of our life. But if you are still feeling pain and resentment months or even years after an event that has upset you, whatever it is, a person, a thing, then it's because you have stayed selfish, and you've stayed selfish for too long. You can't view that story from any other perspective bar your own. Okay, so let's take this chap's email again. Okay, he's £4,000 in debt. He feels that he's getting nowhere near as much work as he used to get, and he also feels that he's got absolutely nothing to be grateful for. It's a perfect example. This email lacks responsibility, it's full of blame, and it's someone who has been selfish for far too long, can't view this situation from any other perspective bar their own. Do you think if we went and we interviewed all of this guy's friends and all of his family, that story might be told from a different perspective? Okay, do you think they might tell it a little bit different? Because I bet they would. You see, but the problem is our perception of our own story becomes reality. Who's ever told a story, okay, that you've told it over and over again, that you kind of think you know the truth about it, but you don't really? Who's told a story and has convinced themselves where the fish, for instance, every time you tell that story has got bigger and bigger. Yeah, I caught a fish that was this big. Next time you tell it, oh yeah, it was about this big. It ends up like this big. Right, I'll hold my hand up, right? There's been times, absolutely, where I've convinced myself of things by telling a story over and over again, where I've kind of lost all perspective of the truth, but our perception becomes our reality. When you tell a story over and over again, it's like planting a seed, and that seed grows and grows and grows. So I would ask this chap who was sent the email, you know, is this a story that he wants to keep telling over and over again? Is this something that he wants to keep growing in his life? Because it's really going to affect his perception, outlook, and overall enjoyment of life. It's not something that I would want to be growing. I wouldn't want to be telling this story over and over again, but it's clearly what is happening. So I want to ask you, what's your story? Okay, if you have to, pause the video right now. Work out what story you're telling yourself constantly at the moment. It might be a new story, could be an old story that stretches years and years and years back that's still affecting you now. But what's the story that's kind of your core story right now? You see, what we tend to do when we have negative core stories is we blame unconsciously. We're generally not even aware that we're doing it, but we blame everything for what we are not getting. Okay, it's a really one-sided process. We see it from our perspective and we only look at what we're not getting or didn't get. So in the acting industry, we go, okay, well, I need an acting job and I need money, and if I'm not getting that, I'm going to focus on just that. Okay, what about if we started to focus on what the industry needs from us? What does that casting director need from you? What does the director who you might be working with need from you? What does the audience need from you? Maybe if Mr. Negative here isn't getting any work anymore, maybe it's because he's not aware that he's not giving the audience or the director or the casting director what they need. It's not that the industry's just not giving him what he needs. It's very easy to be caught up in that and go, well, I'm not getting this, so, you know, I'm just gonna be depressed. It leads literally to depression. When you focus on what you're not getting, it's a one-way journey, and that's the only destination that it leads to. So I would ask, what does the industry need from me? And it doesn't need any more negative, whining, depressed actors, guys, because the industry has got more than enough of those already. Okay, when you make someone else responsible for your situation, you give them control, okay, and you lose the ability to respond and make that shift. Responsibility literally means the ability to respond, and if you've given that away, okay, then that other thing is the force that shapes you, and you're unable to do anything about it. So how do we change this? Well, we change our story and we change our life, okay? We take responsibility for our story and we change our life. It's as simple as that. Okay, so how do we do this? Well, we start looking at what the situation we're in is actually providing us with. Okay, we stop unconsciously blaming the situation for everything and the situation that we're in, and we start consciously blaming the situation. But I want you to really understand this. If you are going to consciously blame something for the negatives, then you need to consciously blame that same situation or that same thing for all the positives as well. And I want you to do this. We can do this right now, okay? Let's start consciously blaming for everything, not just for the negative things. Okay, so here you go. I'll do it myself now. I blame this industry for the hundreds, literally hundreds of rejections that I have had in my life. I blame this industry for building me up so high during one audition process. After 5 recalls, I was convinced I was going to land this part that was literally going to change my life, only to lose that part at the last hurdle and feel like I completely failed, right? I blame this industry for, what else? Highlighting every single insecurity that I have about myself, okay? But if I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna blame this industry for all these negative things in my life, I blame the industry for making me go for weeks on end sometimes without money or knowing where the next job's gonna come from and just being a little bit uncertain of whether I'm gonna be able to make those mortgage payments or whatever it is that I need to pay for in my life. But if I'm gonna do all this, then I need to blame it for introducing some of the most amazing supportive friends that anyone could ever ask for in their life, okay? I also then have to blame it for providing me with some of the most exciting and thrilling experiences I have ever had or am ever likely to have in my life. I blame the industry for giving me the ability and the confidence to sit here now creating this video, for running this very website that you're watching this video on, that puts me in touch with some of the most amazing people that I've ever met in my life and connects me with actors all around the globe. Okay, you've got to understand, guys, we can't just blame a situation for the negatives, right? If you're gonna do that, you've got to blame it for the positives as well. So what can you blame this story that you're telling yourself, this situation? What are you blaming this situation for that's negative, and what can you blame the situation for that's positive as well? Have a think about it now, because there's going to be lows that you're probably not seeing yet. So if Mr. Negative is blaming the industry for not getting as much work anymore, then he's got to blame the industry for all the work that he used to get and all the excitement and joy that that used to bring to his life. If he's £4,000 in debt, he's blaming the industry for that, or blaming the situation for that. He has to blame the industry for all of the money that he used to earn and that he enjoyed, and you know, that he spent on hopefully some amazing things. He's got to blame the industry for the amazing people that he's hopefully met in his life. You know, all these things that he's just conveniently forgotten because he's viewing this story selfishly from just one perspective, and he's just viewing the story from what it's not giving him and not from the things that it is providing him with. And I'm not picking on this guy, you know, I mean, this is just one person out of millions who will be doing this. But what I really want to just make you understand, guys, is you really can change your life if you change your story, if you take responsibility for your story. Okay, stop putting responsibility onto other people, because it totally disempowers you. You know, you've got to take that power back. Okay, start taking responsibility for where you are at in your life. You know, stop living the story and start living your life. Okay, don't let that story rule you. You've got to rule that story. And for Mr. Negative and anybody else, you know, whoever is still thinking that this is a load of codswallop, then I just want to show you a picture of a utterly inspiring couple that I read about this week. This is Frank and Kristen Alioto, an awesome couple from the States. Now, back in 2010, they got married in Mexico. Frank, being so high on life, at the end of the night, made a choice that will affect his and Kristen and everyone around them, everybody's life for as long as they live. Frank jumped into a swimming pool not knowing how deep it was. He broke his neck and became a quadriplegic instantly on his wedding night. This couple they were just planning their lives, everything that they were going to do together. Shortly afterwards, in 2011, I think Kristen was diagnosed with a brain tumor. But throughout all this adversity, you know, things that so many of us, you know, would probably give up on life, they didn't. They kept fighting through and focusing on what they do have in their lives and live the best life today that they possibly can. Okay, so I really just want to say, don't tell me when you see people like this that you don't have anything to be grateful for, because it's utterly ridiculous. You know, you have so much to be grateful for. Don't be so blind that you can't see that. You know, you really, really do. Okay, so stop focusing on what you've not got. Start focusing on what you do have, what those hard situations, those difficult situations bring to your life, how you grow through them, and how you get stronger because of them. Okay, live your life, not your story. Own your story, take responsibility, and I will speak to you guys next week for episode 5 of Monday Motivation Season 3. Have an awesome week, guys. Be awesome. Bye for now.
It's Monday. Yeah.